Well, the originals is centered around the original family. It's, I think, whereas the Vampire Diaries was a coming-of-age story, the originals is possibly more adult, a little darker, a little edgier. It's about beings, creatures who embrace their true nature, the vampires who aren't riddled with guilt, who like to be vampires, who revel in that. New Orleans is a very decadent setting, and so the show kind of reflects that. I think that's it in a nutshell. The originals are the original vampires. They're the first vampires ever to walk the earth. They were born 1,000 years ago, and they lived in a village which was overrun with werewolves. One night, my brother and I sneaked out to watch the werewolves change on a full moon while my family was hidden in caves, and my little brother got killed by the werewolves. My father, with the help of my mother, who dabbled in witchcraft, cast a spell on our family to protect us from the werewolves in the future. He vowed it would never happen again, and because of this spell or curse, we got these powers, speed and strength, but also vulnerability to sunlight and the hunger for blood, and so we became the world's first vampire. Every vampire is descended from the original vampires, was sired by them, so we created other vampires that created other vampires that created other vampires. If you kill an original, the entire bloodline of vampires dies. So that's who the original family are. My character, Klaus, Klaus Michelson, my mother had an affair with one of the werewolves in the village, and I was the product of that affair, so he's the bastard child. He's half werewolf, half vampire. When we became vampires, and I made my first kill, it triggered the werewolf gene, which forced me to start transforming him. My father or stepfather realized the betrayal, and so he spent the next 1,000 years trying to hunt me down, because I was a personification of his shame. So I'm the only hybrid in this world, half werewolf, half vampire, and my half siblings are the original vampires. We're the originals. No, it's all plain sailing from here on. No, it's not. It's incredibly tempestuous, our relationship. My relationship with both my remaining siblings is like every family, or most families, I imagine, is up and down. We are here in New Orleans with a common goal, but we have very different ideas about reaching that goal. And so there's a lot of disagreements along the way. Yeah, apart from when he drowned Mayor Lockwood in the fountain and slaughtered 12 hybrids, I think they're the two sides of the same coin. I don't think he was bad and then became good. I think he's always retained that kind of sociopathic nature. In my last episode, I think I beheaded a witch. So yeah, we'll see all of those sides of him. I mean, what the originals allows for is more screen time, so we can see more of get a more fully rounded view of the character. So yeah, we'll see all of those aspects: his vulnerable side, his sensitive side, and his bloodthirsty side. All of it. In my first episode I ever filmed, he said, "Love is a vampire's greatest weakness. Love makes you weak." I think he really believes that, or he would like himself to believe that. I'm not sure if we'll see any romantic interests. That's a question for the writers, certainly not thus far. There's a history between Klaus and Marcel, which we'll learn about in episode 2 of the originals. So it's a complex dynamic. Marcel was certainly, I think, like a son to Klaus initially, and almost like family to him. And then coming back to New Orleans and seeing he's sort of taken everything that Klaus had was very hurtful, I think, to Klaus. And so what we're going to see is an underlying tension between the two of them, you know, building up to this war, which is at the heart of the series, along with the child. Me personally?
Yes.
I'm 1,000 years old, so I'm very similar in that way, although I'm not a hybrid, so there's a little difference there. I do like to wear Henleys, so I'm similar in that way, although I don't normally sport more than one necklace, so in that way I'm very dissimilar to Klaus. First off, there's more lines to learn. That's certainly something. And then there's characters which I don't have a existing relationship with that I'm developing a dynamic with. So there's that preparation as well. That's probably the main difference, especially with characters like Marcel, where I have my character has an existing relationship with, but we're developing it from scratch. You know, although I knew Charles before I started working on the show, we used to play poker together. I think that's common knowledge now. So, so we're both maintaining this poker face through this war, this tension lying underneath. I think that's accurate. He owes me a lot of money, so I'm just using the anger from that to feed my character's relationship with his. We shot the pilot in New Orleans. And yeah, certainly the outdoor stuff. I mean, the indoor stuff can be anywhere anyway, right? They just build the sets. You know, the bar Russo's is a set on our stages, which looks phenomenal. The outdoor stuff, there's an area of Atlanta called Conyers where we film, and they've built a lot of balconies on the street, and then they fill it with people carrying sort of multicolored glasses, like those hurricane drinks, and a couple of horse and carts coming down. A lot of people kind of looking drunk, wandering the streets, and really creating that decadent party atmosphere that's in some of the more wild streets of New Orleans. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job from what I've seen. The key is finding those more interesting people, I think, to be background artists. They say it's not a choice to live in New Orleans. Yeah, it's not a choice to live in New Orleans. You live there because it's impossible to maintain that way of life anywhere else in the world. And I think that's what they're trying to take as a mantra to recreating the city.
This fall, the blood will flow.
You might try to dial down your glee.
Thursday, October 3rd, the night that raised the stakes is back.
Make yourself right at home.
The season premiere of The Vampire Diaries, followed by the delicious new series, The Originals.
Quite an operation.
Don't miss a single bite.
That would be tragic.
The season premiere of The Vampire Diaries, followed by a special premiere event of The Originals, Thursday, October 3rd on the CW.